Nobody's going to want Russell Wilson. Nobody. Nobody.
You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts.
All right, Black and White Sports supporters, let's talk about Russell Wilson. Somebody we talked about a lot, a hell of a lot, over the last 2 years over on Black and White Sports 2, when we were actually still doing football on that channel. Now, of course, the football from over there is now the football here, right? We literally created, the WNBA chased out the NFL on that channel. I don't know what else to say. The views just said, you got to talk about Caitlin Clark. Okay, that's fine. But here we are, and Russell Wilson. Now, I think the Giants are absolutely, positively making the most sound move for the franchise to Jaxson Dart. I love Jaxson Dart coming out of Ole Miss. I thought he was the best quarterback coming out of the draft. I do think it was pretty close with Cam Ward. I mean, it was like 1A and 1B, to be honest with you. But look, Jackson's got a pretty good arm. It's a slightly above average arm. He's a lot more mobile than people realize. If you watched him in the preseason, you probably got a pretty good feel. All right, he was accurate in the preseason. He was mobile. They'll set up some RPOs. Brian Daboll will, and of course, this is also Brian Daboll's Hail Mary to try to keep his job. Because now that Daniel Jones looks like Indiana Jones with the Indianapolis Colts, and he looks like a franchise quarterback, if Daniel Jones ends up with 30 touchdowns and 6 picks and 500 yards rushing and 4,000 yards passing, 5 rushing touchdowns, I almost think you fire Brian Daboll for that fact and that fact alone. Because if you could not get that out of him, get the hell out of here. Seriously. And Shane Steichen, Chris Ballard, that roster was good already with the Colts. But what we're talking about now is what happens to Russell Wilson? Somebody we've talked about a lot. What happens to him? Because I think people forget at this point. Pete Carroll and the Seattle Seahawks, they didn't want Russell anymore. They didn't want him. They were willing to let him go. He's what, a 10-time Pro Bowler? A Super Bowl champion. And look, I think Russell Wilson's a Hall of Famer. I don't think you pull Russell Wilson's Hall of Fame away from him because of what's happened since he left Seattle. I don't think, look, if you played well enough in that 10-year span to make the Hall, then I don't think that gets taken away from you outside of some kind of like criminal offense. And statistically, it's kind of weird because statistically, Russell Wilson looked good. People got a whole lot of "we're fooled" out of Russell by looking at the stats. I mean, you would look at his stats from last year with Pittsburgh. He was 6-5, almost 64%, 2,500 yards, 16 touchdowns, only 5 picks. He probably added, let me just go down and look here. He added another 2 touchdowns on the ground. But that wasn't the issue. The issue, just like it was in Denver, and just like it was towards the end in Seattle, it was the fact that he could not play in the structure of an offense. And because he was getting less mobile than the dynamic play he had out there, that ad-lib nature was going away. Look, I'm a Niners fan. This was the scariest quarterback of the last 20 years of the Niners franchise, especially in the Harbaugh years. He was scary as hell. I mean, it was like once Russell got the ball, we had a pretty good idea we were fucked. I mean, if it was in the last 5 minutes of the fourth quarter, we were screwed. Because he was going to do one of those rollouts and make 2 guys miss and boom, hit a 22-yard pass that sealed a victory for Seattle. He's not that guy anymore. He's not. And look, there was so many Russell Wilson defenders coming out of the woodwork, mad. They made it a race issue when Sean Payton showed up and said, no, he can't run my offense. It's a timing and rhythm offense. He literally is not capable of running it. He would put up these good statistical games, and then you would look at the film with him playing in Denver, and you'd be like, what the fuck, man? I know you rolled out and scrambled and ran for 5 yards, but Cortland Sutton was open for 14, and you didn't even look at him. You know, and the offense was made to, hey, boom, Cortland Sutton. He wasn't doing it. And you throw in the fact that Russell's short, he can't see. So when that elusive nature, this, that, and the other, started disappearing, so did his skill set. Well, this morning, I was listening to this clip. This is Mike Florio and Chris Sims on Pro Football Talk talking about Russell Wilson's future. And the idea that you've got a couple of teams out there. Look, you got teams that's got injuries right now. The Bengals could just as easily trade for Russell Wilson right now. But Chris Sims comes on here, and when I hear this, my interpretation of it is it's fucking over for Russell Wilson. It's done. Like, if you want to hang on to in the league as a backup, okay, maybe. But now he's kind of like Cam Newton. He's kind of like Shadur Sanders may end up being. He's a guy that's so polarizing that you may not want him as your backup because you want your backup to have no fanfare and no outside football drama. Oh, well, let's go to this party and this party and this party. No, you just want a dude. You just want a dude back there. Let's listen to this.
He's not playing. Number two, at some level, he's got to disagree with the merits of the decision to be benched. And number three, it's just embarrassing to him to not play. So is he going to ask to be traded? Is he going to ask to be released? Is anyone going to want him? You know, he was born in Cincinnati, and the Jake Browning experience, not as exciting as it was a couple of years ago. He's 30th in the league in passes thrown, and he's first in the league in interceptions. I don't know who would want Russ at this point, and I don't know where he might fit, but surely he's going to want out. The question is, how does he go about agitating to get out? Does he do it privately, publicly, or a little bit of both?
Well, I think it depends where his future goals are, right? I mean, if he wants to maybe have another shot at playing one day or doing something, him getting out is not going to help his reputation, which isn't all that great anyways around the NFL. Right, so that's where he's got to be careful. The other thing I would throw out to you there is, and I said this from the start, I don't know. I mean, he might have, yeah, I know. He's not Joe Flacco. I'm with you there, Mike, totally. But he's had a few wires snipped and rewired the last few years to go like, hey, you're not that great. You might need to learn how to be a backup. So he learned a little last year. He had a little lesson in Denver, like you explained. And here he is now, too, to where he might be different. Now, I don't think he hangs around like you're talking about 100%, but I think he might hang around for the rest of this year. Plus, I think he's very into the socialite scene, as you heard me say when he got here. So New York might be cool enough to grow the Russell Wilson brand, even though I'm the backup. I'm going to show up at this place with Ciara and that place, and I'll get invited to this showing and that showing, and that might be enough for him. I might have been part of the reason he came here. So that's where I don't know, because the last point you make or question you make is nobody's going to want Russell Wilson. Nobody. Just because you already laid it out. The Russell PR machine, everything that goes with it. Oh, wait. And he doesn't play good in three places that one brought him in to be the savior. The other place brought him in to be like, oh, gosh, we're happy we got Russell Wilson in Pittsburgh. Oh, no, we don't want you. And then the other one was like desperate in the Giants, and then they don't want you. right? Like, nobody's trading for him, and I don't think anybody's going to want to bring him in, just even if they was released, and go, yeah, we want the Russell Wilson experience.
It's over. If you listen to Chris Sims, he literally says nobody's going to want him. Nobody's going to want him. Nobody's trading for him. That's a hell of an indictment. That's a hell of a thing. But look, there's two coaches that are three coaches that are very, very, very well respected in the NFL. And all three have won Super Bowls and were with for a very long time stable franchises, and they were the reason. One of them's still there. Pete Carroll, Sean Payton, and Mike Tomlin all rejected you. That's a terrible look. That all three of those guys that are among the all three of those guys are going into the Hall of Fame. Pro Football Hall of Fame. Whether you agree that they ought to be in there or not, all three of those coaches will one day be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Because of how long they were with their franchises and they got rings. And I think there's a world where Sean Payton gets another one, to be honest. And when you consider how Bo Nix looked in that offense last year, right after Russell left, and how I think Jaxson Dart's going to end up looking, holy shit. That's going to make things look even worse. And to be real, Justin Fields outplayed Russell Wilson last year. And a lot of Steeler players believed Justin Fields, they should have went back to him and went into the playoffs with Justin. And Justin hadn't looked great this year. But, I mean, the Steelers literally said, we want the Aaron Rodgers experience more than we want the Russell Wilson experience. I think the only reason this wasn't done sooner is that random, careful Caleb Williams fans' performance against the Dallas Cowboys defense, which looks historically bad. Russell threw up 450 yards, and he skewed the statistics and the analytics for the Giants' offense. It's terrible. And he was a driving force behind it being terrible. Tell me what you think, Chris Sims. It's over for Russ. Russ ain't cooking shit no more. Peace. I'm out. Till next time.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next time on Black and White Sports.